to see me sideways. Okay, let's try this. There we go. All right, so I had a few issues with going live on in my usual way on the computer. So I decided I'll come sit outside here in my garden where it's nice and peaceful and I can listen to the wind. And I've had some people that are struggling with connecting with their spirit guides at the moment. And so I just wanted to come on here and chat about that today. And yes, so it's quite a diverse topic and there's a lot to say about it. So I don't think this will be the only video. This will probably just be the introduction or part one, something like that. And if you are finding yourself here where I am now on my channel for the first time, welcome. I'm Michelle Sipker. I'm a psychic channel from South Africa. I live in the beautiful Cape Town by the wonderful Table Mountain, which is an amazing place with its own history and secrets. I actually did a video about that not that long ago. So yes, so today I want to talk about spirit guides and basically who are they, what are they, where are they, and how can we connect with them. Like I said, this will probably be the first video of many. This will probably just be the introduction. So basically, if we think about spirit, where and what it is, spirit is in another dimension. It's still here in a sense, but it is not in this 3D realm. So you can have your spirit guides with you, whoever they may be, right where you are, but they're just in a different dimension or different density. And therefore it's not always possible for everybody to experience them physically or in a physical way. Yes, so 5D, fifth dimension and beyond, that is where the realm of spirit is. So what kind of spirit guides do we get? We get everybody has at least one ancestral spirit guide. This would be a guide that comes through, that is present from the time that the soul enters this realm, this lifetime, this perspective that the soul is living. So if you, whether you've come in as a walk-in or whether you've come in from birth into this space, into this realm, your ancestral guide will be the one that will be there with you from the beginning of this life to the very end of this life. And it's a huge commitment. And they will guide you in much more 3D things, I think, in a sense, than some of the other guides will do. So then I also have to say, so everybody has guides that are always with them, that are with them for life. Okay, everybody has guides like that. So at least one of them is going to be an ancestral guide, and then most people have another guide, at least one more guide that is with you your whole life, which could be any type of guide. And so speaking of ancestral guides or loved ones that have passed over, because even people that have passed over, so for example, my dad passed over years and years ago. We didn't have much of a relationship in life, but now that he's passed over, we have a much closer relationship and we've gotten closer and we're actually working together now. So he has become one of my guides because he chose to do that. He wanted to do that. And our relationship in spirit is very different than our relationship was on earth. And yes, I had to do a lot of forgiving before I could get to that point. But the point is just that anyone can be a guide for you. And then, so that's the past over loved ones. Then there's other types of guides. We can have extraterrestrial guides. We can have angelic guides. We can have guides that are future or past perspectives of your current perspective. And of course, the most important guide, in my opinion, I guess you can put it into two categories really, is going to be your higher self. So technically your higher self or your soul is you, is your true essence. It's who you truly are, your consciousness, your expanded consciousness. So it's the real you. But your higher self is still a guide, because you are just currently living one perspective, one aspect of your whole higher self. So the rest of your higher self, all the other lives that you have lived and will live, is all part of your higher self and your experience as a soul. So therefore, other perspectives of you can actually guide you. And of course, your higher self, who knows all of who you are, can guide you as well. So let me make this clear. Higher self is you, but it's your soul. It's all of your lifetimes together. All right? Whether future, past, present, doesn't matter. Time does not really exist. And the other perspectives, those are not really guides. So I think I need to correct myself. It's not really guides, but one can draw resources from those lifetimes, and your higher self will guide you to do that when and if you need to do that. Then, as I said, one can have angelic guides, extraterrestrial guides, fairy guides, animal spirit guides, magical creature guides. There are so many different types of creatures, guides, and beings in spirit that are willing to guide you. And here's a very, very important thing to understand about guides, and that is that not every single guide that you're going to come across is necessarily going to be a true guide. So it's very important to be aware of whether, when you are trying to connect with your guides, to make sure that you are not speaking to malicious or mischievous guides that actually just want to trick you or have fun with you or want to use you for their own purposes in an unwholesome way, or whether it's a true guide, one who truly wants to guide you with the purest intentions. So it's very important to be clear on that. And this is why the first step in connecting with your guides is to set your intention, set a very clear intention. I would always suggest, whenever you are wanting to communicate with spirit in any way, to ground yourself, to make sure that your energy is clear, and to make sure your energy is protected. Okay, so I will post some links down below for blogs that I've written on grounding, clearing, and protection. So there's a lot of detail about that there. Please feel free to go and look at that. And then once you have grounded, cleared, and protected, then set your intention, be very clear. And I usually set it's almost like a parameter. I'm creating a parameter or a boundary, and I'm saying this is who's allowed in, and this is who's not allowed in. So I will communicate with, so I will say something like, I invite the highest, purest guides to come through, guides with the highest, purest frequencies. Only those with the purest intentions and the highest agenda are allowed through, and you have to just stand firm in it, trust it, and have faith in it, and basically be authoritative in this regard, because you are the only one who can determine who's allowed in your space and who isn't. Just as in real life with friends and family, there are sometimes you have to set a boundary. And I did actually do last week, I did a video about setting healthy boundaries. So it applies to both people in your life and also entities or beings that can communicate with you. So just set a very, very clear intention. I also usually add, I only allow beings of love and light to come through, highest, purest intentions, only guides that will guide me for my highest good and the highest good of all. So those are the kinds of intentions that I set, and it's very important to do so. There is another safeguard that you can add when you are communicating with a new being whose presence you're not used to. So let's take, for example, an angel. Okay, so let's say you would like to communicate with Archangel Michael. I enjoy communicating with Archangel Michael and I work with him quite a lot. So he works with me in every session that I do, including my own sessions, because he's just really a master at what he does. He can clear energy and he can add protection. But now, if you've never worked with Archangel Michael before, you can invite him in. So you just say it out loud, because the word and the resonance of your voice carries energy. It is more powerful. You can do it in your mind, nothing wrong with that. Just sometimes verbalizing it out loud is more authoritative, more clear. There's just more clarity. So, Archangel Michael, I invite you to come and join me in this space and work with me. I only allow the highest, purest energy. And then you can ask this question to a new guide. Ask it 3 times. Are you from the light? And whatever answer you get back, that's the answer. But ask it 3 times as a safeguard. Okay? If you get a clear, resounding yes and you feel peace in your heart all 3 times, you're okay. Alright? Are you from the light? Are you from the light? Yes, I got yes all 3 times, but of course I've also worked with him a lot, so I know what his energy feels like. It's kind of similar to when you're working with your guides, or working with any guides, similar to getting to know a person and being around their presence. You don't always have to be talking and getting to know them and their personality. Sometimes you can just be with each other and you have a sense of who they are, if that makes sense. So it's being in the presence of that person. So it's kind of like that. So you'll start getting a feel for the different guides. All right. So this brings me to another part. So I'm speaking a little bit randomly. I didn't prepare anything today. I am doing this completely just from intuition. I'm being in flow and from experience and knowledge as well. So I did not prepare any notes. So I do apologize if I'm jumping a bit back and forth between the different areas. But hopefully it will still get you the knowledge that you need for connecting with your guides today. Okay, so I spoke about having guides that are with you throughout your whole life. And the amount or the number of guides that you can have that are with you your whole life, I refer to these as your personal guides. Okay, so whatever word makes sense for you, whatever phrase you'd like to give them, that's fine. But these guides can be any type of being, and of course ancestral guides, but they're with you for your whole life. Then there's a second category of guides. There's guides that you may call on, just like I demonstrated now with Archangel Michael. And then there are guides that step in, that is with you for a certain amount of time or certain period of your life in which you are learning specific lessons, or learning about something very specific, or specific skills sometimes that you are learning. So for example, sometimes I have guides coming through teaching me specifically about art. I'm not talking about necessarily how to do art, not the actual physical skill, but other aspects of it. So So yes, we have guides that also come in for a certain period, or with us for that period, help us through what we need to learn. And then when we are done, we part ways. And of course, you can always connect with them when you want to ask them something. There's nothing wrong with that. Um, but yes, so there's different categories. So if you have a guide coming through and maybe a few years later, or when you're in a different period of your life, you notice that they're not coming through anymore, understand that that just means that maybe it wasn't a personal guide. Now here's something that all guides have in common. So let's just rather say this is an important fact about guides that you need to understand. Guides are beings as well, all right? Whether they're from the highest, purest energy, the highest energy guides that you can think of, like archangels. Archangels are, the ancients. They've been around since the beginning, right? So whether it's guides like that, or a past over loved one that's coming through to guide you through something specific. Their agenda in helping is twofold. Okay. They want to go into the next phase of their growth, their soul's growth. And therefore, they have volunteered to help you for a specific amount of time, a specific project, a specific period of time, a specific lesson, or throughout your whole life, because it's going to help them with the development of their soul. Now, with a true guide, the agenda in that is that they have to help you purely. They can't interfere. Okay, so this is something that a lot of people have trouble with. Like, but why didn't they do this? And why didn't they warn me about this? And why didn't they? Sometimes they're just not allowed to interfere because you have to make your own choices. That's why they're called guides. Okay, they're not military or some authoritative figure that's telling you what to do. They're going to make suggestions. They're going to give you guidance, but you have the choice, and you ultimately have to take responsibility for your own life, your own actions, and your own choices. And of course, you do get guides that come through and protect you. And even though you might not consciously have asked for that, your soul would have asked for that. Your higher self would have asked for that. So there's always a level of permission. So they can't always just interfere. Okay, but they will try and communicate with you. They will try and give you messages. And these messages can be extremely subtle. But the point is just that their agenda aligns with your agenda. And that is that a true guide, whether they're with you for a short period of time or your whole life, will want what's best for you, for your highest good at all times. Because that is how they are going to meet their personal agenda. Okay, so they are not going to mislead you, because then they will not be able to fulfill their own agenda, if that makes sense. And a guide like this is going to be someone that's that's already in the next level. So with other words, they're not where we are now. They're already in the next level of the journey, if that makes sense. And this is also why it's so important to set the parameter, like I spoke about earlier. Really just setting a very clear intention of who you allow in and who you don't allow in. Because there are those that are going to try and mislead you for their own gain, or maybe they, some sort of energy vampire, or maybe they just get a laugh out of it, or they think it's funny, or whatever the case may be. But there are guides that are not good. Okay. So very, very, very important to be very clear on setting that parameter, setting those boundaries, and making sure that you invite in only the highest, purest guides, the guides of love, guides of light, guides that work through the heart. Really the ones whose intentions are pure and that truly want to help you from the heart. Okay, and that's the criteria for their souls to grow. They have to come from a place of love. All right, and most of them are going to teach you in some way or another about love or self-love and things like that. Okay. All right, what else is important about guides? Okay, so as I've said, one also gets many different types of guides, and yeah, even ascended masters. Some people may have certain ascended masters basically for their whole life. So for some people that would be Jesus, for some people it would be Buddha, for some people it would be both. You know, there's many different ascended masters. A lot of people have an affinity with Mother Mary Magdalene, and I've connected with her. It's just absolutely beautiful energy. Mother Mary. There's so many like deities who are either ascended masters or just extraterrestrial beings actually, that have been here, that we perceive as deities. Fairy creatures you have to be very careful of. Really, like I said, just set that boundary and be very clear, because they can be very mischievous. But yeah, any kind of being can be, and a pure being who wants to help you is going to be really amazing. Animal spirit guides are amazing, really pure, and yeah, I've worked with, I have some animal spirit guides that work with me, and they help me with my animal communication, but some of them help me with other things too. So that's amazing. And yeah, there's also magical creatures. So I have connected with different dragons, and here I'm talking about like earth dragons. They're protectors of Gaia, Mother Earth. And then of course that brings me to being able to communicate with planets. They are beings too. And you know, for me there is not really much of a limit with whom I can communicate with, but I choose to communicate with beings of light, and when I do come across wounded beings, it's part of my mediumship, it's part of healing, and I heal those beings. Okay, so I'm getting a little bit off topic, and I'm just trying to intuit whether there's anything else we need to know. So I think the important thing here is really to move into the phase of how do we connect with our spirit guides. So I've already mentioned that grounding, clearing and protection is very important, and I will be adding links to my blog post down below. I'm also going to be sharing why grounding is important at this time. There's a link on that video, or there will be down below. Yes, and there will be a few other helpful links as well, so please check those out. So how do you communicate with your spirit guides? First and foremost, set those parameters, set your intentions, ground, clear, protect. The grounding will already help you to clear your mind and get you into a calmer state of being. And this is the next important thing to understand, and the grounding helps with this as well. And that is that you need to raise your vibrations to be able to hear, perceive, feel, whatever senses might come more naturally to you. You need to raise your vibrations to their level, because, and that it's kind of like we have to meet each other halfway, right? They're coming down to our level, but there's a certain level to which they can't drop. There are, of course, lower dimensional beings or lower frequency beings that will be able to communicate with you when you're in a very low place. And this is why it's so important to set your boundaries. This is why it's so important to ground, clear and protect, because you want to be speaking to the higher frequency beings, okay? And you want to be speaking to those beings that's actually going to guide you with the purest intentions, purest hearts, and truly wanting to help you. All right. So the next step is, so part of raising your vibrations is to help, is grounding, clearing, protection, and then of course clearing your mind. So getting a clear mind, if your head is full of thoughts and complex problems that you're working out, or lower vibrational emotions like anger and sadness and all those kinds of things, it's going to be much more difficult to connect. And of course, another aspect to consider is that you have to just be in an open space, an open heart and an open mind. If you're going into this with doubts, not really believing that it will work, and sort of with a pessimistic attitude or a negative attitude, it's going to be very difficult for you to connect. Some people are a little bit more gifted and a little bit more sensitive to things, so they'll be able to connect easily anyway. But for most people, it's going to be very difficult to connect when your mind is full of clutter and busy and there's too much thinking going on, when there's a lot of negativity going on, because that's all lower vibrational stuff, see? So it's going to be difficult to connect in that sense. Yeah, and then the other thing I want to talk about, so raising your vibrations, whatever that may mean for you, I do also talk about that in the grounding, clearing and protection blog posts. But there's many different ways to raise your vibrations. One of them, of course, is through meditation. So if you meditate regularly, you will naturally learn to clear your mind. You will learn to focus. You will learn to become peaceful and calm. And that's really the most desired state to be in. There are other things one can do, like staring into a candle, and all that's really going to help you to do is to get into the right brainwave state, because this is the thing, we are beings in this physical dimension, so our physical body matters, and therefore a brainwave state that's physical, but it's also a connection between physical and metaphysical. And we also have emotional bodies, we have mental bodies, and we have energetic bodies or spiritual bodies. So really there's a whole array of things to consider. It's important to be balanced in all those things. So putting into your body what's good for it, movement, emotional health, working on your emotional health. You don't have to be in perfect emotional health, but just keep working on yourself in whichever way that may be. And the more you work on yourself and do things like meditation, and maybe that's not for you, maybe you prefer running. My husband loves running as often as possible. That's his meditation. So many different ways to meditate. Or just for some people, just watching the waves, watching the waves. That in itself is a clearing and meditative act. And this is why I mentioned staring into a candle flame, because as you stare into it, helps, or any flames, it helps to get you into that meditative state, and it almost instantly brings you into that theta brainwave state, which is the most optimal brainwave state to connect with guides, or to be in that meditational space where you can experience amazing things in spirit and in the spirit world. So that would be the number one method with raising vibrations that I would suggest in helping you to connect with your guides. And then taking care of your health is important. All the different aspects of your health. Okay, not just your physical health. All right. Was there anything else? I wonder if any of you have any questions. Let me see if I can open the chat up. Okay, I don't think there's any messages at this time. Oh, there we go. Tracy, hi Tracy. Sorry, I'm on my phone, so I'm not 100% sure how this works still. I'm just still trying to figure that out. So Tracy, thank you so much. yes, it's nice being outdoors in the garden, definitely. And I'm wondering if anybody has any more questions. I mean, truly, talking about spirit guides is such a vast topic. There is so much to talk about. And like I said, I did not prepare anything specific for today. And I do think there's going to be more talks around spirit guides. Hi, Wasima. You are so welcome, Wasima. Thank you for coming on here. So yes, I think there's one more aspect that I maybe need to just consider and talk about, and that is that if you come with an open heart and an open mind when you're wanting to communicate with your spirit guides or to spirit, it is important to let go of whatever specific expectations you may have. Yes, there should be, there's a balance. So this is a difficult thing for people to understand sometimes. One wants to be able to have an expectation in terms of the intention that you've set, and an expectation that you have faith and trust in what is coming your way. However, you don't want to be attached to the outcome too much. So in the beginning, if it's something that you haven't done before, it may be extremely frustrating and challenging to connect with spirit guides. Some people, most people actually, the first time they try and connect with their guides, don't experience anything. And that doesn't mean that you're not able to, or that you'll never be able to do it. But it just means that everybody has a different skills. And so just like some of the gifts I've been talking about, I've posted a video about clairvoyance, clairaudience, clear empathy, and I will be posting videos next year. This is the last coaching video for the year. So next year I will be posting videos about clairsentience, clairgustance, clairsalience. I think that's all the clairs. So depending on what gift you have and how you receive the information, and also depending on how raised your vibrations are, where you are, and how much clutter there is in your mind, it is possible that you may not even experience anything. Hi Tracy. If I call or invite, oh wait, let me see if I can get that back. If I call or invite our guides into our meditation, won't they also protect us automatically? Yes, definitely. If they are guides that you trust and that you know are pure, you can ask them for protection, absolutely. So there's many different ways to protect. So that's part of setting the intention, is saying, please protect us. But it is, protection part is your own energy, not allowing other external, especially negative or dark energy, to come in. So the protection is just, this is why the clearing is also important. Clearing of all the stuff that doesn't serve you or isn't yours. You want to clear that out of the field. But yes, being very intentional about the protection is definitely, in my experience as someone who has been channeling and doing this for a number of years, setting a clear intention about the boundaries and about the protection is important. Okay. And I did do a video a few weeks ago with Archangel Michael about setting boundaries and protection. So please do have a look at that. Okay, so just to get back to the fact that not everybody's going to experience something initially. In fact, what most people will experience the first time. So some people may experience absolutely nothing. That's okay. It doesn't mean you're broken or that you can't do it or that it's not for you. It's just that maybe you're just not there yet. So keep trying. Keep trying, don't give up. Okay? And then maybe the first time, what many people would perceive the first time is just a feeling of peace and a feeling of love and support. And that's how you know it's your true guides, when you feel that love and support. And it's like it's a for some of us who are very emotional as well, this can be a very good feeling and very peaceful feeling. So so don't be disheartened or discouraged if you are not experiencing it fully or amazingly in detail the first time. Sometimes if you have a clairvoyant ability, you may just see colors or some light or something like that. You don't see a face. Even for myself, sometimes when I'm communicating with guides, and I mean, I've been doing this for years and I have a strong clairvoyant ability, some guides don't want to be seen completely or fully. Or some guides are light beings and their true form is actually just light. So don't be discouraged if you don't see things in detail, or if you don't hear things in detail, or whatever it is, whichever way it is that you receive information. You can also communicate with your guides through automatic writing. There are so many different ways you can communicate with your guides when you are engaging in any creative activity, music, drama, dance, visual arts, cooking, you name it. They can come through in any way. So that's another thing I want to say, and I think I'm going to do a different video about this actually. I also want to talk about when your guides send you signs and symbols and how to read those and how to understand that. So I'm going to go into detail about that in another video, but I do want to say that if there are things that are coming up repetitively, so maybe you see angel numbers all the time, or perhaps you have a dream that keeps recurring, or you keep coming across, you keep getting a specific song stuck in your head, even if you haven't heard it. Whatever the case may be, there are certain ways in which they communicate with us, in which they just sometimes let us know. For me in the beginning, it was angel feathers. I'm saying angel feathers, not angel feathers. It was feathers. I'd see baby feathers, like randomly. I'd notice them where I'd never noticed them before. So it's a common thing that we have around us all the time. So it's not anything amazing or wonderful to see a feather in general, especially when you're not awoken. It's just a feather, But when you're awoken, sometimes you start realizing, oh, it's a reminder that my angels are here and protecting me, right? So you start learning to decipher the signs and learning the signs. But they try and communicate with us in all kinds of ways. Even when we're in our lowest vibrations and feeling really low, they're still going to try and come through, maybe through music that plays. Maybe you're watching a series and somebody says something, some character says something, and it just touches you somehow and makes you think. So they can come through in all kinds of ways to communicate with us. It's not only through meditation. It's not only when you're in your best space. So don't be discouraged. And and then the other side of it is to also not read into every single thing, because sometimes in some ways I feel like there are no coincidences, but we also don't want to drive ourselves crazy by reading into everything. Sometimes it's just life that happens, right? So yes, okay, so I'm going to do another video. I've been talking your ears off for long enough. It's Friday. We all want to go and chill and just have some family time, or just go and relax after a long week. And I'm sure, just like me, everybody's going through a lot of busy things, ending off, especially here in South Africa, just ending off the year and doing the last minute things. It can be quite hectic. So yes, I will create another video in the next year about signs and symbols and when they come up. And I'm sure I'm going to be, like I said, I think this is more of an introductory video today about guides. And I would love for you guys to really, especially if you're coming across this and you're watching the replay, I'd love for you to ask questions. What do you want to know about guides? What do you want to know about how to connect with them? Maybe you've tried and you weren't successful, or maybe you are hitting a figurative brick wall. Please connect with me and let me know if you have any questions. So like I said, this is the last video for the year. Thank you, Tracy. Thank you so much for being here. You're most welcome. And I'm sending you all love and light, and hoping you're going to have a wonderful weekend. I am not actually sure if I'm going to do my Wednesday meditation next week. I probably will, but there's going to be 2 more live channeling videos on Monday night at 8 p.m. So next week Monday, and then the 19th of December, that's going to be my very last video for the year, and then I'll be back in January. I'm also not taking on any more sessions this year, except for tomorrow. If you're in the Table View area in Cape Town, South Africa, at 19 Fairbridge Road in Flamingo Flay, there will be a lovely little holistic market with all kinds of amazing goodies and amazing vendors, and I will be there doing light code activations, channeled readings, and art readings. So hope to see you there. Have a lovely weekend, and chat to you soon. Bye.